You're listening to The Bon Ray Show. It's 8 in the evening. Tune in every night at 8 to listen to The Bon Ray Show on Irish News Radio or ITV.ie. And you can contact anything that you've heard or if anything you'd like to discuss at news@irishnews.net. You're listening to The Bon Ray Show on ITV.ie and Irish News Radio. Today is Thursday. We're talking about the EU and independence. Well, there's no such thing as independence in Ireland. It's gone. And it's been gone for a bit. Our country is no longer sovereign. Everything was fought and died for is gone. Not only that, our heritage and our culture has been chipped away to a place where it's unrecognisable. There is genocide coming here. I've been talking about, stop using your money and maybe we get our own armed forces and get our own police forces. There's just not enough of you awake. And I don't think there's enough time. The government have signed the UN Pact, which is worse than the EU Pact. The UN Pact will see mass migrants into this country. And anybody speaking out will be criminalised. There's a new pact which our government will sign. Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael are staying in power until the next UN agreement will be signed next year, which is even worse than this one, which will bring mass murder into this country, and nobody will be allowed to speak about it. It'll be the things that I'm warning you about. You'll have to employ a certain amount of Africans, you'll have to employ a certain amount of Muslims, you won't be allowed to talk about it, there will be restriction on media talking about these things. If you rent out a house, you'll have to be able to prove that you're renting it to non-Irish. This is the new South Africa. It's not even what the other countries are going through, because with the other countries, they're quite clever with the EU and the UN. They understand that with Sweden and all those, they were weaker countries, and that's why we were able to do mass rapes and break them down. But Ireland has had a history and a culture which has been destroyed of rebellion and fighting back. So in other countries, they've put them into prison, as in France. They've put anybody speaking out or protesting 4,000 into prison. They won't be doing that. They're going to kill you. And this sounds out there, but the people they're bringing in are killers. They've already created genocide. They know who they're bringing in. And with the new UN Pact next year, genocide is coming really quickly. It will be like South Africa, except for there will be nobody allowed to speak about it. In South Africa, they couldn't get it out, and none of the Western medias report on it. And anybody who got it out or anything talk, they would deny it. There will be a criminalisation on anybody speaking about it. And that anybody who doesn't conform will be more than criminalised. Your life, everything, your jobs, you will not be able to work, you won't be able to drive, you won't be able to do anything in this country. And unless in the next few weeks there is a huge uprising, what we've seen in France, Belgium, Netherlands, and even New Zealand, if there is not a huge uprising, there's going to be a huge genocide while the sleeping Irish sleep. I lose more hope every day when I watch the headlines of what's going on, and I listen to the Irish and their self-hate of this country and their lack of understanding of our heritage, of who they are. They actually don't even believe they're a race. They're so brainwashed from the education system that they don't understand what the Irish heritage or culture is or who they are. They need a whole new education Whether it'll be in time before they're destroyed is unlikely. And unless there is a huge turnaround to people, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael are destroying the other main parties. People Before Profit and Sinn Féin are also part of the destruction. And unless people get out and protest that we're given an election and the ballot boxes stay in where they're counted and there's 3 people to count over them, otherwise it's going to be rigged. But we need to force election while Fianna Fáil are propping up each other. They're propping up a mass murder, a genocide on its way with these North Africans. They're going to bring in the Africans who murdered and mutilated the white Africans, not just the Islamic ones. And they're going to bring in all the Indians who are murdering the Christians. This is with the help of Leo and all the fake government. This is on its way. It may seem like propaganda or scaremongering, but all you have to do is look at Europe. But we're on for a much worse scale. Because of our heritage, they're not going to just lock us up. They're coming to kill us. This sounds like scaring. This is what's going to happen. You will have to employ and hire Africans to a point where they won't have to crash the banks. Now maybe they may crash the banks, but because the country will crash, you will have people who have no loyalties, no regard for this country, no regard for anything. You'll have Muslims, the only thing that they regard is Islam, and Irish, a loss of their own land. And the last time the Irish lost their land, it's taken years, generations to even slightly heal that. They've just given it away. Years of those scars to heal have all just been given away through this government and their hate of the indigenous Irish race. There was no famine here. There was 3.5 times enough food to feed the Irish. The British wanted to clear the land of the Irish. The Irish government now wants to clear the land of the Irish. And the best way of doing that is importing killers to do their job for them. And the breakdown of this country will happen very quickly. We're living in the end of what was Ireland, the real Irish. Most of us are still old enough to remember growing up in Ireland when it was Irish. This is not Ireland. This is the destruction of our ways and our culture and our heritage. It is very sad and very frightening. And what's coming is going to get even more frightening. Thank you for listening on The Bon Ree Show, on ITV.ie and Irish News Radio. You're listening to The Bon Ree Show on ITV.ie and Irish News Radio. Today is Thursday. We're talking about the EU and what was independence. I think the big problem and what the major thing that we're dealing with is a completely different generation. When the Irish fought for independence, were very different people. They may have been under British rules for centuries, but they were strong. The difference is you can show the Irish of today the evidence of what's coming their way, but they refuse to believe. Some of them are in denial, but they would be fair and will believe the lie because they don't want to deal with the truth. They don't want to face the truth. They don't want to see the truth. Even when you give them all the statistics, all the data, all the proof that's obviously coming the way, they don't want to believe it. I don't know why. Is it scared? Or they've invested so much into this bullshit diverse ideology that the world is all the same, that they really cannot believe it. Is it something like because they have been told from a young age, diverse is the strength, all these things, it'll be fantastic, it'll have loads of different countries in one, it'll be so interesting. And at the moment you're a boring, backwards country, this will be fabulous and you'll have so much diversity, it's so interesting, so fantastic. That they can't or don't know another way to give up. And I think the difference between the old Irish was from a young age they were told how brilliant they were. And I'm lucky that I was told, the Irish were great, they were heroes, they were pirates, the famous pirate of Grace O'Malley, and I was told all those stories, but I realised I'm unusual to hear those stories. Most of them didn't. They heard the stories about diversity will be the strength, that it was backwards Ireland and the Catholic Church that was a disaster. If you get rid of all the backwardness and the backwards thinking, we'll have this beautiful, diverse country. Where I was told quite the opposite, and I realised that I'm different in that. The older Irish were told how brilliant they were and how they can so survive without British rule, without any rule, that independence and unity of Irish together, an Irish way, an Irish culture, heritage, and the uniqueness of Ireland will be its strength. Because Ireland, what makes a country is its people. Once you kill off its people, it's just a piece of land. What makes Ireland so great is its people. And what they have killed off is the people's strength. And I look around, even if you gave the majority of the Irish the truth, you gave them the data, the figures, the pictures, what's going to happen, they don't want to stand up. They don't want to know. It reminds me of listening to the Muslims women. I've always wondered, some of them who could get out, don't get out. And so much so that they go to their death. They're buried neck high and get stoned to death. Some of them had an option of getting away and getting free. And they chose to die. It also reminds me of the Nazism. When, the Germans heard what was going to happen, or the Jewish heard what was going to happen to them. They heard stories, they knew, these trains. But so many of them wanted to believe the lie that they were going to go on this train to a holiday camp. That they were going to, have this fantastic, the Germans had this great plans. And at the beginning, not all Germans are bad. Some Germans are fantastic. I know lots and lots of nice Germans. They were this and they were that. So they were start spreading this, as the Irish do, about Muslims or North Africans. Oh, I know lots of them, they're fantastic. And I do know lots of African black people as well, and they are great. But I don't think they should come before the Irish. But as for Islam, I don't even think it should be allowed in the first place. We just have no, not all Muslims are bad. Not all Germans were bad. But look, it didn't say for the Jewish going around with their little things. And a lot of the Jewish got on those trains. Some of them really wanting that lie to be true. So much so, it's actually even funny now having a conversation with these Irish, the new Irish, which are like completely nuts. They believe anybody can be Irish as long as you breathe in Ireland long enough, or you don't even have to breathe in it that long. You can just step in and it's something to do with air and you become magically Irish. I'm in conversation with them about what it is to be Irish. And they actually have no idea. They only have negative thoughts and views of it. So this is why they want this diversity so much. They have no views or feelings or confidence of being Irish, or what it means, or how great or how unique or how different that is. They have a very negative attitudes to what it is. It's almost like when they hear the word Irish or British or anything in, they see these racists, and that's in their little head, is that because they weren't mixed up to the EU, so that makes them, that they were inbred, or you wouldn't hear those things about China or any other Asian country, like that haven't mixed, that have their own race, majority of the race. And that's how Ireland was when I grew up. The majority of Irish people were Irish, strangely enough. Right now, majority of Irish people have no Irish blood or heritage. Particularly the ones who say they're Irish and shout they're Irish. The loudest have no Irish blood. It's sad. And the ones that are left have this hatred towards Ireland. I don't see a chance because, unfortunately, I don't think they love Ireland enough. I think they've forgotten how to love it, or forgotten how to love our culture. They look down on everything, our Irish music, our Irish dance, or Irish everything. They look down on it. And they see these Africans and Muslims and think, that's great. So they will march to their death. It's almost like they're so stubborn to believe this word diversity is a fabulous idea, that even when a black person is going to put a gun to their head, or a Muslim is going to rape them in the name of their religion, they'll still believe diversity is the best way, because they can't stand to think that for hundreds of years the way the world was run was the best way. They just can't. Now, not all cultures are the same. Not all ideologies are the same, but they don't want to hear that. No matter how many facts and figures, female mutilation, the whole lot, they won't look, they won't listen, they won't pay attention. What they only want, and if you don't give it to them, they call you racist, xenophobic, because in their little world, that makes it safe for them, that you are the bad person. The right wing are the dangerous people. Look at them saying all those bad things. They're the dangerous people. They're creating all these people chopping off girls' clitoris and murdering people. If you didn't keep talking about it, they would suddenly, it wouldn't happen. And you're making up terrible things with your hate speech. You don't know what you're talking about. Even when they have the data and the proof, they'll still deny and call you a racist, because that's the only way that they can feel safe. And they will put any person before the Irish because they hate them. Another thing I was talking to, and interesting, was listening online to a man. I originally always thought abortion was a majority, and I still think probably it's a majority of people who believe the bullshit of the media, that 1% that would have fetal abnormalities, or that Indian lady who died of septicemia suddenly would affect your pregnancy. But it was interesting. I was listening to a man who absolutely begrudged this girl. She was homeless. She has 3 children, homeless. And this is where Ireland is. He was said, I prefer to house or home non-Irish. She got pregnant 3 times. She should have kept her legs crossed. But he wouldn't care if she was Muslim or African and she had those 3 children. He thinks that's diverse. But because she had Irish white children, he absolutely couldn't stand the fact that she had children, and she expects him to pay, in his view. Where, it's totally okay if she wasn't Irish. The hate for the Irish is so shocking. And this is one of the reasons why they brought in abortion. The real truth is they begrudge Irish women becoming single mothers or Irish women having children. Because obviously if you have a child, you can't really work unless you have a partner or you're on a really good salary that you can afford a creche. And even at that, some decide they won't go to creche, that they want to bring up their children. But in this day and age, people begrudge that and they cannot stand people who do that. Where a foreigner doing that, a non-Irish, a Muslim, is totally acceptable. Even if she's the fourth wife and having how many children, they prefer that than their own race. Shocking times when whatever has happened has told them that we're not worthy. They want the end to this race, and that's the truth. They're even willing to put their head on the chopping line. I thought in some ways, that when it's in their own back garden, they'll start to fight. I even think then that a lot of them will accept it. Like the girls who go to the death and get into the hole when there could have been somebody who got them out. Because to leave everything behind, to leave everything that they've known, everything that they've been taught, that the diversity or Islam is the best thing. It's the same sort of thing. They've been brainwashed for so long. They can't see a way, or they can't believe a way out. And that's a very sad day to see this happening. Thank you for listening on The Bon Marie Show.
You are listening to Irish News Radio at irishnews.net. Email news@irishnews.net.